Hello one and all, this is Soulful Lordy, James Bullock, once again with another video game first impressions. This time around, Granblue Fantasy Versus for the PlayStation 4 and PC. Granblue Fantasy Versus is a 2.5D fighting game adaptation of the long-running Japanese mobile gacha game Granblue Fantasy that also spawned an anime adaptation that is too ongoing. Versus is not unlike a majority of the 2D fighters you played in your lifetime, with heavy, light, and medium strikes, special attacks, super maneuvers, and all that kind of stuff. But what really makes Granblue Fantasy Versus different from everyone else is the control scheme. When it comes to the special maneuvers, beyond the fact that each character has a unique button prompt that is, in the case of the PlayStation 4, attached to the X button, each character has 4 special moves. The game gives the player the option of executing these special maneuvers in one of 2 ways, or both ways that they feel comfortable during a fight. And that is by either utilizing the standard quarter circle motion that we've seen so many times in other fighting games, or with the utilization of a fast acting skill button. If you press forward, down, or back, or don't move at all and press the skill button, one of those special attacks will be utilized by your character. So the question is, why would you opt to not use the skill button over the quarter circle method? One of the major gameplay implementations is the cooldown system of each special maneuver. If you utilize the skill button method, the cooldown is actually a lot longer for the restoration of each special maneuver than if you use the quarter circle method, and both are extended when it comes to the cooldown time when you perform an EX version or an amplified version of said special maneuver by either hitting the medium or heavy strike button alongside whatever motion you're doing. Either you're hitting it with the skill button or you're hitting it with the quarter circle motion. The cooldown is directly affected by whatever method you use. That doesn't mean that the more rookie fighting gamers are at a severe disadvantage if they utilize the skill button prominently, because thankfully a majority of the skills do restore pretty fast. The cooldown isn't that long, but it's something that you have to take into account. There are some maneuvers that are a lot harder to pull off with the quarter circle method than they are with the skill button. There's also an auto combo system that ties into, potentially, if the player is utilizing it correctly, the special maneuver usage as well. Like the skill button, the auto combo system is effective, but it doesn't do as much damage compared to the more complicated combo schemes that will see you not hitting just one button over and over again. The super maneuvers are also very impressive. They are based on 2 things. That is the SB bar that is underneath the character's health and how much health that character has. If the character has under 30%, they can pull off a super maneuver, or as it's known in the game, a super skybound arc. But if your health is above 30% and your bar is filled, you can pull off just a skybound arc. But both of these attacks do incredible damage, and if you do it at the end of the last round and win, you get a nice little animated cutscene. Overall, the gameplay is really fun. It's really rewarding for those both newbies and veterans of the fighting game genre. And considering the roster, though small, does have a lot of variety to it. When it comes to gameplay mode options, of course you have your regular arcade mode, which doesn't feature any character specific endings, but does feature a nice little implementation where you could either raise or lower the difficulty as you progress through arcade mode. There's also the standard versus mode, some training mode options. Of course, online is there with ranked and lobbies to play against both high stakes fights and some casual fights, though at times you will be placed against someone that is well above your skill level and you just can't help that. You will just get slaughtered no matter what you do. The connectivity, no matter if I was playing someone in North America or in Japan, was relatively stable. The input delay was very minor and the lag was almost virtually non-existent until the match ending last shot. For some reason it always slows down. For single players, the meat and potatoes of this game will more than likely be the RPG mode, which is almost like a 2D style brawler, but with the same fighting mechanics that you experience if you're playing the one-on-one action. And even more enjoyable is the fact that as you progress through the story, you have the ability to gain partners, and you can actually call upon or offer the assistance via online to have a partner or become a partner and defeat someone in a mission. While RPG mode isn't the most exhilarating, the story is pretty bland and unfulfilling. The customization options, be it the dropped weapon system that is utilized throughout the RPG mode where you can use elemental abilities to make certain missions a little bit easier and do more damage to certain enemies. And there is also a challenge tower that makes things a little bit more interesting. RPG mode just pales in comparison to what really is the standard of any fighting game, and that is the core gameplay, the core fighting that you would have, be it locally or online. Overall, Granblue Fantasy Versus is a surprise if there ever was one. It is a licensed game that takes into account that maybe the people that would be interested aren't necessarily the most adept to playing the certain genre that this game is focusing on, while not ignoring the fact that veteran players and fighting game aficionados may want to pick this up and will find themselves actually challenged, especially when they take on someone that is either at the same level or better than them. But maybe wait until it's on sale, because $60 is a little too steep for something that features a roster of only 11 characters, not counting the final boss that you can unlock, that is going to be boosted by season passes, which feels a little money hungry. But from a combat perspective, it still is a very rewarding experience. So there you have it. This has been so rewarding. James Bullock, once again with another video game first impressions. Granblue Fantasy Versus for the PS4 and PC. Now if you don't mind, I have another battle to fight. I have to show everyone the power of love, and if they don't want to accept it, I will slam them down to the mat for that precious 3 count and make them cry out, "Oh lordy."